I'll start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Panel, can you remember with me how many times you were scrolling Twitter or Facebook for hours and then figuring out that you didn't get from it anything at all? Can you remember with me, panel, how many times you assumed an information and then you realized that it's wrong when you read the newspaper or heard the news? Well, I assume hundreds of times. And we, Generation Z, can relate perfectly to all these cases. We are a generation that is suffering from peer pressure. We are a generation that is suffering from a weak general knowledge full of fallacies. We are a generation with very limited social interaction and activity. We, our side of proposition, see a better world without all this suffering and futility. We side proposition believe in a world without social media. Very proud to propose. First, let's give you a clear definition of what is social media. Social media is any online platform when people can interact and can interact with each other virtually in many ways, such as posting posts, comments, images, videos, messages, and stories, and focal notes such as Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. Please, panel, note that we don't mean by social media any video conference apps like Google Meet or Zoom, and we don't mean by social media any emailing apps because they don't give the same amount of interaction to the users as Facebook and Instagram and all these apps do. Video conference applications and emails are ratherly used in for professional purposes. What do you expect from my speech today? Three things. First, a fair framing of the motion and our position. Two, our timeline, and three, my main arguments. First, let's look at the framing. If I would describe, how would we, our side proposition, describe a world without social media? A world without social media look like this. It's a world where people mainly interact in real life. They go to parties, they go to meetings, they go to they get to interact each others in real life in many ways. They even rely on reading information from the news and from newspaper, and where they even develop relationships from the daily and interactions in different occasions of daily life. Let's now introduce you to my timeline. Our first argument will be how a world without social media will ensure a better access to reliable information and will ensure, as a result, a better political scene. And this will be presented by me in addition to the argument, to our second argument, that we will explain how a world without social media will enable people to have less mental and psychological harms. Our second speaker will present you two arguments. First, she will preview how a world without social media will ensure healthier communication and relationships. And second, she will prove you how a world without social media is environmentally safer. Now, let's look at my first argument. My first argument, which is without social media, people. Let's look at my first argument, which is without social media, people do have access to reliable information. Indeed, on social media, anyone can write whatever he wants without any restriction or check. This is more likely to misinform people and mislead them, to think in a wrong way. And why this is very alarming. Yes.
Do you think that people can't proof check what they are searching for in the internet?
Okay. Thank you. I will respond to this by two things. First, they won't look at this because they are stimulated by the Facebook algorithms and they are triggered by the posts. So they want to see more and more content, like I will explain further in my second argument. And second, we on social media, we have a tendency that when people want to spread wrong information, they tend to pay more and more people so they can post and comment many posts. So when you see all this content claiming something, you will think that this is true. And so you will subconsciously mislead you and manipulate you. Thanks for this POI. You make things more clear. No, I won't take you. So why this will make the status quo even worse? It's because false information results in deteriorating catastrophes, and the example is of people that have been manipulated by saying that COVID-19 does not exist or is a pure conspiracy. These people were manipulated by the media, by people that are claiming this false information. And guess what this resulted in? This resulted on people not respecting the health measures. And this also lead to more spread of the pandemic. This led to more economical harms, more efforts to into the pandemic, more deaths, and more spread of this of the whole pandemic that affected more and more lives in many countries like Argentina, like Brazil, like Tunisia. So these people, this is also the example of people who are claiming that the COVID vaccine is not efficient. These people manipulated other people to not take the vaccine, and so this resulted also in deaths and economical costs. You on our side of the house, you promote false information by social media. However, in our side of the house, people usually read accurate information from reliable resources backed with logical analysis and examples. They hear the news, they read newspapers, so they have more reliable sources and more incentive to take the right choice. On our side of the house, we want to have a better political life. How? We want to give the floor to populists and politicians to spread false news and false information with themselves. Here, I want to point the example of Trump. How Trump has won his first election is through false information, but thanks to Facebook, to the Facebook algorithm, and how the second false information spread resulted in the Capitol attack. Ladies and gentlemen, we all remember the Capitol attack where Trump, where Trump promoted false information, and this resulted in affecting the whole peace and the security of the country. Now, we are on our side of the house. We won't manipulate citizens. We will give them accurate information. We will ensure them a better political scene with less populists and with more accuracy. Now, I want to jump to my second argument, which is explaining how a world without social media will enable people to have better psychological and mental states. Three sexual reasons here. One, peer pressure and social standards. People on social media tend to show off and even pretend having things that they don't have. They pretend to be always happy, to have a healthier relationships. They pretend to have all the blessings of life. So other people are less advantages, they feel pressure, they feel that they are less than them, and this is more likely to teenagers who push their parents to buy for them things beyond their means, and this result in psychological suffer as they don't as they are not accepting themselves. So second, cybersecurity and bullying. People on the internet have the platform to bully other people as the information is more spread, and there is a lot of dangers of cybersecurity attacking, leaking the information of people, and the information of people, and there is more likely to leak sensitive information. We also on our side of the house, we want more security and more privacy for the people. Third, which is addiction. A short point here of short analysis, which is social media triggers the dopamine in your mind. So scientifically, they give you entitlements so that you can see more content, and you have more small joys of seeing more content, but it's without any purpose. So this whole addiction will affect you psychologically, will affect you mentally, as you will be mentally tired, and this also will affect your body. Will have back disorders, will have side disorder, and this will also affect your relationships with people. So on our side of the house, with less social media, but people are likely to get addicted and to have such results. Ladies and gentlemen, what do I have presented in my speech? Three things: how a world without social media will look like. Second, how world social media provides better access to reliable information and better political scene to people. Third, I presented to you how world without social media provides people with better psychological and mental state. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you very much for your speech. We will now have the first speaker from the opposition side.
Okay. Good evening, respected judges, my worthy opponents, and audience. I, Hajar Ahelbara, hereby humbly express my thanks for your interest in social media. Just recently, TikTok officially became the world's most downloaded application, overtaking Facebook's staggering 2.89 billion monthly active users. If you aren't familiar with the app, it is a video sharing focused social networking service, most famous for its renegade dance, lip syncing videos, and the most followed, Charlie D'Amelio. What you might also not know is that on May 2021, a TikTok video posted provided clues in the case of Sofia Juarez's abduction in 2003. A TikTok personality in Sinaloa, Mexico, interviewed a woman who claimed she was held captive and is trying to reunite with her family and eventually found out it was indeed Sofia. We see another heartwarming case when a crowdsourcing effort from TikTok raised $12,000 for an 89-year-old pizza delivery man. Relevantly enough, the motion for debate today is this House would prefer a world without social media. We as an opposition team would like to challenge and redefine social media as websites and applications that enable users to create and share content or to participate in social networking, thus including YouTube, Google and its correspondent Gmail and Google Meets, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, whatever it may be. Let us not forget Zoom as well, allowing us to set up virtual videos as we are doing right now, audio conferences, webinars, live chats, screen sharing, and other
DIY?
collaborative capabilities. No, thank you. Moreover, we would like to set back a burden for the proposition team and ask them to prove that if they do not in fact prefer a world without social media, to give an alternative for families, friends, corporations, schools, doctors, or other private entities that do in fact prefer and rely on social media, and that would still allow them to communicate or provide their services with who they want if this motion were to pass. Furthermore, before I begin explaining why we oppose this motion, no, thank you. It falls upon me to introduce today's opposition team and to let you know that we have structured our case as follows. I, first speaker, will be talking about how we prefer social media in our world to help us communicate, to bring communication to another level, and has proven to help save lives. Our second speaker, Lina, will give her economical substances and how social media is a form of income for millions, if not billions. And our third speaker, Fatima Zahra, will rebut and sum up our case. Now, what have we heard so far? The first speaker of the affirmative team has tried to tell you about the spreading of false information. But I would just like to go over the logic of the substantive, because what would happen if you prefer a world without social media? What exactly will happen if you get rid of social media? The same exact false information that you're talking about will just be shifted and spread in person. I mean, what are you going to do if you shut down Instagram? The same lives that would have been said on Instagram will just be said in real life. In fact, apps like Instagram have given users more tools to identify and give feedback on false information. You simply tap above the post, tap report, and tap it's inappropriate, and the Instagram will do the filtering. On the other hand, there's no such filtering. Yes?
Why are you stressing on one example of Instagram and you are ignoring all the other platforms that have contributed to sharing false information, such as Twitter and Facebook? Is this only one example?
Okay,
Can deny our whole case and whole.
Yeah, but my point is, what exactly are you going to achieve by shutting down all of these social medias? The same lies will be said in person. In fact, in person, there is no such filtering that happens in social media. He's also touched upon political leaders giving false information, but without realizing that the internationalization of social media and the ability to access mainstream social media accounts, people will be subject and force-fed news down their throat by their local politicians, because the only thing they have to turn to is local newspapers, radios, whatever it may be, and not international insights. Also, I find it possible that that speaker one has the audacity to speak on the economical harms that has come with social media, especially given the pandemic. But what about the businesses, the corporations, local or just starting businesses, hospitals, therapists, gyms, whatever private entities that have turned online because of the pandemic? How will they get their sources of income? Now let me come to my first argument. We prefer social media, especially in light of the ongoing internationalization that's taking place in our world and the current COVID pandemic that makes us more in need to communicate with those that we can't see face to face. A data report by the World Economic Forum details that the COVID-19 pandemic has resulted in schools shut all across the world and globally over 1.2 billion children out of their classrooms. Thankfully, however, we are able to turn to social media as we see the distinctive rise of e-learning, whereby teaching is undertaken remotely and on digital platforms. Schools were not alone. Hospitals too were subject to changes in the ways of consulting with their patients. No, thank you. In Japan, for example, the government lifted restrictions on receiving online medical services as clusters of coronavirus cases emerged at health clinics and hospitals. Doctors started conducting appointments with first-time patients online, allowing patients to receive prescriptions by Gmail without meeting face-to-face. Morocco's very own Marjan also turned to the App Store, creating home delivery services to cities including, but not limited to, Gaza, Rabat, Fez, Meknes, Tanja, Sla, and Agadir. No, thank you. Now let us put the pandemic aside and just take a look at our friends, significant others, or family members, whether it's just the like of a post, laughing at their private stories, or sending memes to one another. Social media has helped us maintain and build relationships. The second reason why we're opposing, yes.
Aren't you like denying that? Aren't you like supposing that we are denying we prefer a world without internet? We see that we have internet in our own. We only don't have social media, the platforms where people interact. So we can have websites where businesses can perform. We can have video conference websites, but we are stressing on social media when people can interact with each other.
Yeah, but again, I redefined and challenged your definition because again, we would like to redefine social media as any website and application that enables users to create and share content or to participate in social networking. So that isn't just Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, whatever you want to say. It includes Google and its correspondence, Gmail, Google Meets, Zoom that we're also using right now, whatever it is. So please don't try to just refer to Facebook and pin it on a Snapchat and TikTok, whatever you want to say. Again, the second reason why we're opposing this motion is because we prefer to live in a world in which social media is available to help us save lives by giving us the platform to raise awareness about issues going on. Sure, their proposition might argue that we still have mainstream media, but the reality is most people don't have the money or the time to afford having a TV or sitting by news all days. Twitter accounts of CNN, Al Jazeera, Moroccan-Youth, whatever it may be, have made it easy to alert us on ongoing disasters our planet faces. Whether it be a warning regarding an incoming hurricane in your neighboring city or bombing threats, we're able to become more alert and aware globally. A young Uyghur Muslim, Samira Emin, in Boston, is harnessing the power of social media to raise awareness about the plight of her people in China in the Xinjiang region, including her father, who has been held in this so-called Chinese re-education camp. We also see Instagram accounts like @Anxiety Wellbeing or @The Real Depression Project that helps people turn to social media as a coping mechanism. So, ladies and gentlemen, I've explained to you that we prefer social media in our world to help us bring communication to another level and save lives. And for all these reasons and more, as you will hear from my team, I urge you to value the importance of communicating with your friends, family, significant other, colleague, whoever it may be, and sign your ballot in favor of the opposition. Proud to oppose. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your speech. Just 1 second, let me finish with my notes. All right, thank you. Now let's have the second proposition speaker.
Hello. Hello, everyone. My name is Daria, and the topic of our debate is that this house prefer a world without social media. My team believes that this statement is true, but before I come to my own arguments, let us first have a look at what Hajar has said. The first speaker from the negative team has tried to tell you that social media can help to build relationship in family, with friends, and so on, but it isn't right, and I'm going to prove it. Let's come up my argument. Nowadays, lots of people have switched social media communication, and some of them began preferring social media. From my experience, I can say that students have switched 50% to communicate on the internet. We discuss school achievements. project, ask each other about lessons, what's unclear only on the that's unclear, and they discuss only on the internet, and this is terrible. And I'm going to explain why it is terrible. Because in real life we can't discuss it in such detail as we do on the internet. I can proceed to my first argument: the social networks. Social networks spoil relationship with people. First, let's talk about teenagers. Most teens only communicate on the internet, but what's the bad? First, the contact between interlocutors is lost. Now, in the internet, we can't see emotions, eye contact, and this is very important. During communication, teenagers should form communication skills. Communication skills is the ability to communicate with people of different character, to be able to understand them and adjust so that communicate is comfortable in both cases. But social networks prevent this. In social networks, teenagers don't see the opponent's reaction, impressing intonation, emotion, gestures, and so on. The fact, yes.
Are you not aware that using social media is an option? If someone wishes to go and see their friend in person, which most people do, then they can just simply do so.
So can you repeat, because I can't hear you?
I said, are you not aware that using social media is a choice? If you wish to go see your friend face to face and communicate with them face to face, or in fact, you could do so by video call and see their reactions and emotions face to face, you can still do so. You have a choice.
No, if you start communicating in social media a lot, you adapt to this. You adapt to social media, and then you face the situation in real life. Your neural networks. For example, when you communicate in social media a lot, you adapt to this you adapt the situation that you can't see emotions gests and so on, and then you face the situation in real life. You can confused about the situation because our brain adapt how to speak in the social media. Next, and due to the fact that communication skills is broken, the relationship is worsening, and it is increasingly difficult for teenagers to communicate in real life. This will be very difficult to develop it for the future. The second example is communication in the family between parents and children. Now everyone creates family chats and social networks and shares information. But what it looks like from the other side? Let's imagine a situation that I write to my family in a chat that I won a math tournament, and in the response to me, they send me emotions, and that's it. I will not be able to understand whether my parents are proud of me or not. They are happy or not. Therefore, communication in chat rooms can also spoil mutual relationship in family. Summing up, I can say that communication in social networks has a very bad effect on society. When we switch to communication in social networks, it becomes easier for us. We don't need to understand what a person feels, since we don't see a response. And then a real communication, we encounter the emotions of other people. Our communication getting worse because we don't know how to adapt to a person. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for your speech. We will now have the speech from the second opposition side.
Just 1 minute. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, hello. The topic of our debate is an important one, a subject that has proven its importance recently, especially with the COVID-19 pandemic, where so many businesses have turned to turn digital, and their social media were crucial so that people can keep being in touch, even from while being at home. Relevantly, the motion for our debate today is the government preferring a world without social media, and the prop team defines it as a platform where people are able to interact with each other. And we have challenged the definition by saying it's not just about like interactions, it's also about video conferencing like Zoom and Google Meet, and this includes also Google and Gmail. Also, we agree with so we are going to prove in this debate why a world without social media would have more negative impact in our world than positive ones. So what have we seen thus far? First of all, I want to refute what second speaker from proposition team has said when they have stated that social media ruins social skills. While just want to give one simple example, is with this COVID pandemic situation where people are being obliged to stay at home and are not able to go outside and interact with each other. Are you supposing that people just have to stay at home without even interaction? Isn't it like this is going to ruin their social skills more than having a FaceTime call with their friends? And what first speaker I want to firstly develop what our first speaker from the opposition team have said, where they have said that social media is crucial for our daily interactions. It's either with friends or family, and also for our professional coordination with each other through emails and Zoom conferencing. COVID-19 have obliged businesses to start switching to online platform, and also starting working. Their employees have started staying at home, so they have to work online. And social media have provided the perfect solution for this, so that businesses can keep going and keep working while people are staying at home. And also another fact is it's the impact of social media for education, where it has proven it's been crucial, like with the COVID pandemic, and students aren't able to go to school. So are we supposing like without Zoom and without meeting, are we supposing that no, thank you. Are we supposing that just students are going to lose an entire year without e-learning? So that's why social media have proven more beneficial. No, thank you. And today I will be elaborating further to further prove why. No, thank you. Why we are winning this debate and why we should vote for opposition team. I will be mainly focusing on why this statement made by the government team is contradictory to our economical values. So social media is not just about like some psychological harms. Even there is just like some people getting depressed on social media, or just like some other slight psychological illnesses, but this is a minority, and we are talking about the majority of people. We are talking about millions, not even though billions. We are talking about job opportunities. We are talking about incomes of families, people going hungry without social media. About the minority, accepted this PRI.
Aren't people able to find jobs via the online platforms that are dedicated to only jobs, like co-work or any other platform that provide job opportunities without any social media interaction? Plus, when you mentioned the schools, aren't schools having some special websites only for education and not using the social media? So your 2 points don't make.
Okay, I see what you are talking about. So I am going to answer it in two ways. So first of all, when you have talk about schools, they are using Zoom and Google Meet, which are also social media platforms. And for the second one, like people going, I don't know what you said, like going people working outside. I am going to elaborate this further in my debate. But I am also going to just let me give you an insight about what I am meaning by job opportunities. Companies are like, I'm going to elaborate this one, but social media are huge, like are crucial for promoting products and marketing products and services and businesses and startups. So entrepreneurs rely on social media. So what do you suggest? Like people must promote their products on social media. Do you suggest that they are just going to just like have some posters there and there, and people are going to just like see their products and they are going to be able to sell it? Also, Fiverr, which is a freelancer platform, is also a social media because people are interacting and everyone is there talking. So I hope I have answered your question, which is going to be elaborated in my debate further on. So my first argument is going to be how how social media companies are offering millions of job opportunities, and I am going to just like take three simple examples. Facebook's have 58,000 employees. YouTube have 135,000 employees. LinkedIn have 15,000 employees. So if we are suggesting that we are going to shut down social media, where all these people are going to work, where millions of people are going to work, are you responsible for giving them a job opportunity? Are you like taking the responsibility for solving the issue? Are you going to provide for them job opportunities so that they can't go hunger and all their family is going to be go hunger? So my second point will be, in the other side, social media is a platform providing marketing tools for businesses to start and grow their business. So first of all, it's providing accepted.
Don't you think that social media is a capitalist tool that is only inciting people to buy things they don't need by all the algorithms and the stimulating videos that they produce? So people end up buying things they don't need, whereas in our side of the house, people only need buy what they need because they are not triggered by this.
15 seconds. You have like you are up to 50 seconds. Yeah, I see. But this is how the economy is working. People are buying and people are selling. This is how the economy are working. Our economical values. So we can't really deny if someone wants to buy something, we can't tell them no, we are not using it, so you don't have to buy it. So I will go to my second point, which is it's providing like a fundamental marketing platform so that people can just like post their products and internationally people can see it, and like creating a balance between offer and demand. Asia having overproduction and other countries having needing products, so people can market products like dropshipping and stuff. They are products not accepted. So what we are saying right now is providing job opportunities for new entrepreneurs and startups to develop their businesses. And my last point will be is we know we already know that social media companies have a huge annual revenue, which I give example: Google 136 billion, Twitter 3 billion, Instagram 9 billion, which means more tax revenue for the government. So are you as a government ready to give up all this tax revenue and give up all these tax revenue so that you can shut social media? So, and are you able to provide job opportunities for all these people who are going to go hunger without social media? And did you solve the issue when COVID made millions of people going jobless and not being able to have any income, while social media provided for them opportunities so that they can just start from zero, creating content and modeling and being just an influencer and getting an income in surviving, and also creating a new business or a new just like startup and really surviving and feeding their family. So ladies and gentlemen, that will be all for me, and I am waiting for a further answer from the government, and thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your speech. We will now have the government side give the third speech.
So I'll be starting 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Let me remind you again of today's debate motion. This House prefer a world without social media. We, as Team Proposition, strongly advocate this claim. I will begin my speech by rebutting opposition team main points. First of all, I want to clarify that not all websites on the internet can be considered as social media. Google is a search engine and not a social media. It can be taken as an example of the benefits of social media. Second of all, opposition team claimed that fake news would spread anyway, and banning social media wouldn't stop them from spreading. We respond by saying that social media, that fake news spread on social media take a whole new level and are spread in the speed of light and thus cause more damage and harm. Team opposition claims also that social media helps to maintain good relationships. We show clearly how social media harms instead relationships. Being glued to your device, communicating with some virtual friends does not really help you to strengthen your relationship with people around you. They also claim that social media has a good effect on education. We will respond by claiming that showing a survey made by French government on their students that showed that their writing and speaking skills worsened over the years because of the wrong writing patterns on social media, which is using abbreviations, symbols, making mistakes. So their skills are worsening over the years, and this is not helping them at all. No, thank you. Now, dear audience, that we are finished rebuttaling team opposition arguments and proving them to be wrong, I, as third speaker, will be quickly summarizing my fellow teammates' main points and putting more emphasis on highly important points. Our first speaker showed you how a world without social media would create a better political scene where reliable information can be showed and presented. It would help us to fight manipulation and combat lying and populism. No thanks. It would also help us to have a better mental health where people would not put their self-worth according to likes or followers or posts or anxiety because people are supposedly living better lives than them or have better bodies than them, whereas those are just fabricated photos or just showing the highlights of their lives. We would also create a world where cyberbullying would be removed at all. We also pointed out to addiction problems which affect your health and school performance and human relationships. Our second speaker had showed you how social media harms human relationships. She listed numerous terms like lack of emotional connection, feeling of disconnection, distrust, and fake relationships. And now I want to stress out the environmental costs of the unreasonable use of social media. If internet was considered as a country, it would be the 4th most polluting country in the world. It uses a lot of energy, that is a huge amount of energy that are dangerous to our planet and worsen its pollution and its state. Sending one message is like using 10 light bulbs during 1 hour. 1,000 messages are sent every 30 minutes. Imagine pollution, all the energy that it would cost and all the pollution that it would make and the greenhouse effects. Think about global warming. Think about your future generation. Think about your planet, how this would affect your planet and pollute the environment and destroy the world for your future generation. Deleting social media is protecting our planet. I have now finished rebuilding my team's strong case. I will explain why our side is the winning one. Our argumentation had been well structured and arguments well explained. Our word vision happens to be more efficient and more impactful. Why? We proudly promote a world without social media, to the benefit of people, so that they can live meaningful lives and be able to release their true potential and their creativity far from distractions and dangerous harms of social media. We would see, yes, please.
So are you saying like social media providing opportunity for content creators are really decreasing their creativity? Is that what you are saying?
I'm talking about the people who spend too much time scrolling on the internet. Because if you want to create creativity, social media would just be a tool. If you're a blogger, a writer, you can just write a book or write a newspaper. Whereas when you spend too much time on social media, just scrolling stupidly on websites like Instagram, Facebook, and maybe, because this is the vast majority, they kill their creativity, they kill the neural network, and they can't get into flow mode where they can create and everything, because we know that there is something called dopamine. Social media are made to trigger this dopamine and make you addicted. This is the reality. This is the harsh reality. Social media are made to make you addicted and to destroy your life. So back to my speech. We said that we would promote worlds to the benefit of people where they will realize their potential and their creativity free from distractions and dangers of social media. We would see more people giving time to their crafts, more writers, more artists, more inspired people who are committed to their life choices and improving the world around them. People will learn to connect more deeply with the real people around them. Greenhouse effects would decrease. We are creating an eco-friendly, ethic, sustainable world for us, for you, for future generations, where people would be free of junk poured into their mind and are living in a healthy planet. In our worst case, if circumstances don't allow to connect with family members who are away, this would allow you to connect with the people around you. Think present moments, present people, small pleasures, focusing. I quote Carl Networth, who is a computer science engineer with the famous TED Talk titled "Quit Social Media." He claims to have a normal life, having deep, meaningful relationship, having successful business, a best-selling book, whereas he never, ever applied to any social media platform.
POI.
So this is the end of my speech. Thanks for listening.
Okay, thank you very much. 1 second. Just have someone joining in. All right, let's have the third opposition speech from the opposition side.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear jury, my worthy appointments. The topic or debate is an important one, a topic that has been debated many times over, many times over, and I see, and this debate is just a proof of the importance of this topic. Moreover, I would like to start my speech by rebutting on many of the proposition side's arguments. First, I would like to state that the first proposition speaker said that Gen Zs are the most people affected by social media, and to that I disagree. So Gen Zs only are 48% of the social media's users. And to that, you mentioned cybersecurity and cyberbullying, which is third speaker's strength. I would like to say that cyberbullying occurs in things as simple as Google search engine's comment section. And moreover, I would like to say in response to Ms. Doris and Ms. Miriam Zerbal on how social media limits the user's opportunities to learn communication skills, I would just like to state the abundant amount of of, the abundant amount of of social media accounts helping teens out of their social anxiety, and they're now like the communication expert, as communication arts. And I would like to also state that there are not writer Mark Manson's blog is each month where he helps them out of their social anxiety, helps them with their day-to-day problems. And I would also like to state that the proposition team focused on the surface of social media. They didn't offer us arguments that would convince us to actually prefer a world without social media. And as opposition team, we acknowledge that the risks stated by the proposition team are we acknowledge those risks, but we also acknowledge the abundant amount of benefits that the social media provides us. And also regarding the opposition for speakers BOI on manipulating people on social media, being manipulative to people, I would just like to inform him that in such instances, as in places as simple as the supermarket, you are manipulated to actually buy stuff you don't need. Now, into some of my team's case, I would just like to give you a refresher of what occurred. The first speaker started by stating the necessity of social media in sharing awareness and communication, and how a lot of people offered their service on social media, such as therapists, and included the example of Japan, where their prescriptions are sent to patients online and using social media. And my second speaker provided the huge amount of work opportunities offered by social media corporates and in social media and the social media field, and how many people use these social media to help start up their business, promote their market, promote their objects, and promote many of the stuff they made with love and all that. And also, I would just like to add that the proposition team failed to give us an answer to our burden, failed to give us alternative for social media. How do you want people to communicate how do you want people to communicate with each other if you are depriving them of social media? How do you want people to communicate across the world, across the oceans? How do you want people in China to offer their services to people in Canada and the US without using social media? And to conclude, I would just like to emphasize on the fact that we again include in our definition of social media video conferencing platform, and therefore the proposition side in this debate are offering highly hypocritical terms, since they are at this moment using social media as in the shape of video conferencing to actually try and prove their point. And I'm willing to bet that the same debaters that are now against social media and would prefer a world without social media actually found about this scam, about the opportunity for them to debate on social media. And I would just like to add before I conclude my speech that my first speaker offered a huge amount of arguments why we should win this debate, why preferring a world without social media is like preferring a world without internet, which the opposition team said they could still use. But what could you use the internet for if you're not if not social media? Sure, you could still use search engines, but do you even have the time to actually scroll through search engines looking for news that that when you're surfing social media, you are offered information you didn't know you needed, but you highly need it. And just to conclude, I would just like to restate that the government side failed very highly to no thanks
UI.
failed to answer our burden. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your speech. We will now have the could you, I don't know who's making that noise, but could you please mute yourself? Okay, now we're going to have the opposition reply speech.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Good evening, respected judges, my worthy opponents and audience. Today's motion is an important one, and I, Hajrat Al-Barra, along with the rest of the opposition team, oppose and believe that all of you should secure your ballot against this motion for many reasons, not only because of the ones that we've stated, but also because of the proposition's inability to simply prove to us otherwise. In response to their first speech, we asked them to simply prove to us that if they do in fact prefer a world without social media, we gave them a burden to give us an alternative for families, friends, corporations, schools, doctors, whatever it may be, who do prefer and rely on social media, and would still allow them to communicate and provide their services at the same time online if this motion were to pass. This burden went completely uncontested, and they failed to give us valid alternatives that would compensate enough. Our second point of contention with the proposition is when they argued that we need social media to learn how to communicate face to face, but again failed to respond to my POI because adequately, because funny enough, we have FaceTime, we have Zoom, we have Instagram video calls, we have Snapchat video calls, we have WhatsApp video calls, we have many other alternatives. They haven't given us other alternatives. We also heard from this same speaker on the mental effects that social media has, as well as speaker 3. But again, speaker 2 told us how it causes you to sometimes doubt yourself, given her examples of possibly thinking her parents aren't satisfied with her accomplishments because of the lack of emotions with emoji responses. But what about depressed people who feel less positive and need to turn to social media? And I've mentioned accounts like the Real Depression Project and at Anxiety Wellbeing. And sure, there might be people exhausted by social media, and instead of benefiting them, it's hurting them. But these people have the option to delete the app and move on with their lives, while many depressed people and people that suffer with anxiety need it. Others are even using Facebook to find life-saving kidney donors. So for any of you to tell me that they prefer a world without these luxuries, it's completely absurd. They also touched heavily upon how political users are using it to spread false news. But I said it once and I'll say it again, without the internationalization of social media and the ability to access mainstream social media accounts, people will be subject to being force-fed news down their throat by their local politicians, because the only thing that they will have to turn to is local newspapers, radios, whatever it may be, and not international and unbiased sites. And I emphasize unbiased. I also find it laughable that Speaker 3 then proceeds to end her debate, giving us an insight on a computer scientist urging you to quote unquote stop or quit social media. And I don't understand the relevance of this, because frankly, this authoritative quote, because she failed to give us a holistic reasoning and rather just gave us a quote from a so-called expert. What happened to not relying on everything that was said on the internet? Not all professionals are knowledgeable, so let's not to turn to just one computer scientist and rather give holistic reasoning. It is evident that these claims are valid enough to win this debate, especially since they failed to respond to our burden. And moreover, we on the opposition side told you that we need social media to help us bring communication to another level, to talk to our family, friends, employees, significant other, whoever it may be, even doctors and your local therapist. Furthermore, our second speaker told you that social media provides many job opportunities, like for the following industries, like Facebook, also owns Instagram, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, whoever it may be, and for influencers, models, YouTube content creators, and all these people that use it as a source of income. It is also needed as a foundation for many to start up their business and to promote themselves and get their products and start marketing. And as our third speaker summed it up for you, I will do it again. It is evident that we, the opposition, need to not only oppose this motion, but we have also validly advocated against it during this debate. And so for all these reasons, I urge you to value the importance of communicating with your friends, family, significant other, and whoever it may be, and sign your ballot in favor of the opposition. Proud to oppose. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your speech. We will now have the final speech of this debate, which would be the government reply speech.
One, two, three. Summing up our arguments, we focus on what our life could be like without social networks, how social networks affect us, our attitude, our environment, and mental health. Social networks spoil relationship between people in different social circles, in the family, at school, among colleagues, and so on. People began to be transferred to the virtual world where it's much easier for them than in a real one. The next our argument is that the next is the influence on the nature. We use all the internet, therefore the social networks that we use every day. This can worsen the situation today, and it will greatly affect in the future generation. The next argument is about mental health, that due to frequent viewing, creativity decreases. Because of activity that do not require mental work, our brain becomes worse. When our brain begins to think less, we lose concentration, creativity, and many factors that will help us survive. Therefore, social networks make it difficult for us to survive in our competitive world, where it is already difficult. And the last internet effects is mental health. In conclusion, I will once again tell you about our position, that we are in favor of the abolition of social networks, which cause quite a lot of harm to various spheres in our life. Then social networks are cancelled, our life will change in all directions, improving nature, improving brain activity, communication, and all this is very important, because if we lose it, our future will be destroyed. Thank you.
Okay,